The last white rhinoceros in the world's male north died on Monday after months of illness. Sudan, as the copy was called, was 45 years old and lived in Ol Pejet Reserve in Kenya. He was sacrificed on Monday after his age-related complications worsened considerably. His death leaves only 2 female rhinos on the subspecies in the world, his daughter and his granddaughter. The rhinoceros, whose age was equivalent to 90 years old human beings, was being treated for degenerative change in their muscles and bones, coupled with extensive skin wounds. He was unable to get up and suffered a lot in his last 24 hours. Sudan achieved great popularity around the world last year when its caregivers created an account in Tinder dating application not to find the love, but to raise funds and develop in vitro fertilization techniques for this species. That is now the only hope to preserve the white rhinoceros of the north.
The axolotl Ambystoma mexicanum is an endemic amphibian of the Valley of Mexico that currently only lives in some corners of a network of channels of Lake Xochimilco that occupy a total area of 180 square kilometers. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature, in its Red List of Threatened Species, lists the axolotl critically endangered because its occupation area is less than 10 square kilometers. Its distribution is severely fragmented and there is a continuous decrease in the extension and quality of its habitats, in addition to the decrease in the number of mature individuals. Their population and freedom are very small, and the main cause of their reduction in the last years is the serious degradation that their natural habitat has suffered, mainly through the contamination of waters, but also by the introduction of competing fish species or prey in the axolotl. Other causes of their serious state of conservation include overexploitation and capture as food for their supposed medicinal uses and for the pet trade. The conservation actions focus on the improvement of Lake Xochimilco, on the one hand through education from the conservation of the environment and on the other through the promotion of ecological tourism and the implementation of works to restore habitat and bioremediation. In addition, there are several colonies of axolotls kept in captivity throughout the world, since the species is used in biomedical and psychological research as well as in the pet trade. Some of these colonies, such as the one maintained at the Guaymaco Aquatic and Biological Research Center of the Metropolitan Autonomous University, have among their objectives the conservation of the genetic diversity of the species. However, for the time being, reintroduction is not recommended, as threats must first be mitigated in their natural environment, and diseases and genetic risk of wild and captive population must be evaluated. The prognosis of Dr. Zambrano is devastating. In 2020 or 2025, there will be no axolotls unless action is taken to save them.
Mountain gorilla. The world's smallest population of mountain gorillas, a subspecies of the hamster gorilla, is split in two, and the scientists have a debate whether they may be too separate as subspecies. A bit more than half live in the Virunga Mountains, a range of the extinct volcanoes that border the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Uganda. The remainder can be found in the Bwindi Impenetrable National Park in Uganda. Since the discovery of the mountain gorilla subspecies in 1902, its population has endured years of war, hunting, habitat destruction, and disease. Threats so severe that it was once thought the species might be extinct by the end of the 20th century. As their name implies, mountain gorillas live in the forest high in the mountains at the elevation of 800 to 1300 feet. They have a thicker fur and more of it compared to other great apes. The fur helps them to survive in a habitat where temperatures often drop below freezing. But as humans have moved more and more into the gorillas' territory, the gorillas have been pushed farther up into the mountains for longer periods, forcing them to endure dangerous and sometimes deadly conditions.
The imperial carpenter, Campesillus imperialis, was the closest relative of the Caribbean seabird, which is also considered extinct. It was one of the largest woodpecker birds found in North America. His body was 45 to 50 centimeters long, weighed less than 450 grams, and some of them only 100 grams. Its height ranged between 51 and 56 centimeters, although specimens of up to 60 centimeters were found, which made it the largest woodpecker in the world. It had a wingspan of up to 80 centimeters wide. Its plumage was red on the top of its head, making it easy to identify, and a long neck with thick black and white stripes. The rest of his body is black, and the white of the feathers was only visible when the bird was in flight. The Mexican imperial carpenter required extensive areas of open areas of pines and oaks in plateau areas to nest. The main source of food was the larvae of beetles, which were at certain times of the year abundantly, in short periods of time. The reason for extinction practice of the imperial carpenter are due, in the first place, to the destruction and disappearance of a large part of their habitat, and secondly, to poaching. Unfortunately, these forests have been widely used for the wood industry because of their easy access, fragmenting the territory. The most frequent cause of death of the imperial carpenter was vandalism. It was a good target to shoot for fun, and because they were easily identifiable and large enough not to fail and could then be dissected and sold as a souvenir. The second reason for shooting were medicinal uses. It is estimated that it was the cause of 22% of the deaths. The red crest next to a little oil were used to cure the itch. They were also used against nerve attacks. This woodpecker has not been seen alive with reliable record since 1996, and is coupled with the fact that there has been a great destruction of the habitat and with poaching is thought to have led the species to extinction. Although the last confirmed record was in Durango in 1996, there have been 8 sightings after 1965.
Mexican grizzly bear. The Mexican grizzly bear is an extinct population of the grizzly bear. The extinct California grizzly bear extended slightly south into Baja California. The bears in Durango, Chihuahua, Sonora, and central Mexico were likely more related to the bears of Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas than to those of California. The Mexican grizzly bear was smaller than grizzly bears in the United States and Canada. The general color was pale buffy yellowish, varying to grayish-white, grisly from the darker color of the underfur. The Mexican grizzly bear inhabited the northern territories of Mexico, in particular the temperate grasslands and the mountainous pine forests. Its previous range reached from Arizona to New Mexico, Texas, and Mexico. The bears hunted the cattle from the time to time they were considered a pest by farmers. The Mexican grizzly bear was trapped, shot, and poisoned and had already become scarce by the 1930s. Its former range decreased to the there isolated mountains Cerro Campana, Cerro Santa Clara, and Sierra del Nido, 80 kilometers north of Chihuahua in the state of Chihuahua. A grizzly was shot in 1976 in Sonora, the fourth confirmed in Sonora and the first in many decades. The Mexican grizzly is now presumed to be extinct.
The tiger of Bali was the smallest of the tigers, with a weight that did not exceed 100 kilograms. This weight is comparable to that of a leopard. In addition, its size was half that of the Siberian tiger. They had a length of 2.20 to 2.31 males and 1.91 to 2.11 meters females. It had a short but dense coat of strong orange color with a fewer stripes than other subspecies. These strips tend to branch off, with smaller strips between some of the wider ones. There were certain superstitions about these tigers, but in the inhabitants of Bali. For example, they used these powdered whiskers as a potent poison undetectable to the enemy. In addition, the newborn had to be given as a protection amulet, a necklace of black coral, and tooth or piece of tiger bone. Many Balinese had parts of the tigers as amulets for protection, like necklace with teeth or claws and teeth in the shape of a ring. With the disappearance of the Java and Bali tigers, parts of leopards of Malaysian bears are used. The cause of its extinction include hunting and loss of forest habits and dams. In a last attempt to preserve the species, the Bali National Park was created in 1941 in the area where these tigers live. Although it was not possible to reach, it seems that are likely to become extinct at the end of the Second World War or as late in the early 50s.
A measure for the preservation of flora and fauna is to protect the natural reserve that house different species that, if left unchecked, will cease to exist throughout the planet. We can also support all institutions that care for animals that are in danger of extinction.
If we don't take care of the environment, the planet will be end little by little. There is a very marked imbalance between the environment and anthropogenic activities because it becomes more important to generate income than to preserve the environment that gives us everything.
When the last animal dies, the last vegetable dries out, maybe the man understands that the money is not eaten in the proverb.